Hello and welcome to another video. So this one's a little different to normal video that I would normally do. This one involves a deck that I had spent a lot of time with and played quite a bit back in, what would it have been? Start of 2017, maybe even slightly earlier. It was around then sometime, but it was such a great deck, and it was the Cursed General Sword deck. It was a very aggro orientated deck, but at the time a very cheap deck, as it didn't require any legendaries. It was filled with bronze and silver cards and only ran 3 golds. This is the original variation of the deck that I was using all the way back then. You can still find the original video if you search up Cursed General in my videos, and you'll soon be able to find it. But it was such a fun little deck. Was it overly competitive? Not really, but as soon as you pulled off the Cursed General combo, it was pretty much game at that point. Of course, your opponent could clear it, but that didn't mean everything, so this was a fun little deck. And today I've actually done a new rendition of the deck, the new Cursed General deck, that I have basically gone over, re-implemented, recreated, and pretty much redesigned to fit with what I would consider a more current meta. The main keys to this deck to keep in mind, and the reason we don't run a lot of cards that you may see commonly in Sword, is because you want a consistent engine to get Cursed General and Assassin into your hand to use the combination. Assassin gives ambush to an allied commander follower, and Cursed General is a commander. Now, using things like Lux, which we used to use Little Maid for, this is perfect. It pulls your commander for 5 or less, which also would mean I could run more commanders in the 6 slot and above, but I really couldn't think of anything I wanted. But it does allow you to pull this commander guaranteed 100% of the time, so Lux into the commander is a absolutely great card. It's also a little better because it's the same cost. It is a higher rarity, but it also has 1 extra health than a Maid, which just makes it overall a better card. Of course, then, if Assassin, you needed a way to get that card, so the best way that I have to get that is currently a Goblin Mage. So Goblin Mage's only real disadvantage is that it's 2 or less, which means you also have a chance to draw Lux, and you also have a chance to draw Quickblader. So while you have a chance to draw those 2 cards, most of the time I tend to get Assassin off Goblin Mage because I already have Lux and Quickblader used up in my hand, but it's not as consistent as the Cursed General engine, and we had the same problem in the other deck, as it's the exact same thing. You need some early game, you need to run Lux to pull Cursed, and Quickblader is just a super solid 1-drop. So Goblin Mage has a chance, of course, of not drawing Assassin, but that odd is reasonably small. When it's a 1 in 3, it's worth it. Otherwise, everything else in this deck is pretty much what you'd nearly expect. So I'm running Novice Troopers, Officer, of course, Storm, not bad overall. I'm actually running Snippy Gardener. I like this card quite a bit. It gains +1/+1 if an allied commander's in play, which means you can actually combo this with the Cursed General. Thanks to Cursed General's effect of giving Storm to all allied followers that come into play, it's amazing. You get this officer, Cursed General, that great combination, 4 damage burst straight to face for 3. Perfect. Vals, another really good one, plus his effects are really good, so you can't go wrong there. Floral Fencer, we're running this over the other card, mainly because the other card is a commander. This one is an officer, which means you can actually take advantage of Floral Fencer, and you don't have to worry about it clashing with your Cursed General. Same reason you run Levi. Great card on Enhanced 6, gets you 2 extra officers, which work well with Cursed General. The only card we've really upgraded and added big time was Zeta, mainly because Zeta is an officer, which means you actually get a 6-drop, 6 damage officer, which is great. One of the highest valued cards you can probably have for 6, as previously I was using Aldor's Command for a similar principle. Aldor's Command, unfortunately, is only 5 damage burst, so it's not as worth it as Zeta at 6 damage burst. Plus, Zeta also gives you Bistrix when you attack with it, which is great, so you really can't go wrong there either. Otherwise, it's also just a really solid rush. Geno as well, another rush. Dragonites come in handy. They've got a couple of really nice storm cards for 5, so Lancelot isn't one of them because that's a commander. Percival, again, another commander. But the top 2, which is Siegfried, which is a 5/4, really solid 5 damage storm when you add it. And of course, Indomitable Knight, not quite as good. Personally, I would probably always aim for Siegfried out of this. But it's another really good one. Gives you a bit more reach even if you don't have the combo, and that can work out well. So now that we've gone over pretty much the entire deck, all the main cards, all the important cards, I am just running Assassination Jitsu for just some extra clear, but that's pretty much it, because then it doesn't clash with any 3-drops or anything that we'd have to run. Overall, great deck, great fun. The video will be reasonably short as the games aren't very long, and we're going to get into those right now. So I want you guys to keep one major thing in mind with this deck. This is in no means a competitive deck. This is not an overly consistent deck either. It is definitely more of a meme and more of something that is just fun to play. It's definitely a deck that I've always enjoyed playing. I never revisited it since pretty much the rotation format. I've never really revisited it in a video either, just because it is that inconsistent. It's usually just something that you can have a bit of fun with, and I thought, why not bring back an old deck and re-up it? I've always wanted to do that in a video, and I thought this would be the perfect place to start for reviving some old decks that I used to play. So this is a great one, honestly. We started off with a really solid hand, getting both Assassin and Cursed General off our draw. You can't go wrong there. We do have to deal with this Ram though. We're also in a very positive matchup, as Blood itself will kill itself reasonably easily, so we can expect them to die very fast to their own damage, which means we only really need to get our followers on board and get the damage in. Also, we can take advantage of low-cost removal cards, like this Fatal Spell Bomb, very quickly. So they are going to get that little bit of healing, of course. Snarling Chains again, not a problem. Ambling Wraith, not great. Blood-Fed Flower, definitely looks like they're playing Dark Feast Bat, but they may be going too heavy on the Dark Feast side of things. Especially since we're going to pretty consistently draw our cards out. So, normally you want to be playing the combo on turn 6. Cursed General into Assassin, ambush the Cursed General, Assassin's a 2 damage Storm. With an Evo you can even get a bit more damage. You can also use your Cursed General to attack, so usually it's a 2-turn lethal, 6 and 7. While it's not the best sword deck, it is still super aggressive. It's just a matter of consistency. Of course, it is weak to AoE damage, so things like Thermos Decree and other big removal is a problem, especially with Beacon of Salvation. Haven obviously being probably one of the worst matchups for this deck. Dragon can also be quite bad if they have a big removal card like Frenzied Drake, but usually not quite as dangerous. So they're taking a lot of damage themselves, which for me is actually quite good. I do decide to, of course, pump this Cursed General to get that on board, get it all nicely done with this Assassin and take advantage of it. As I mentioned, one of my favorite decks, just for how much fun it can be. If I had to pick any kind of meme deck, I would say this has probably been one of the best that have come out of the whole of Shadowverse game. It's also one of the few decks that I pretty much built from the ground up. Started with a pretty basic template of, hey, Cursed General Assassin combo, and just building it from there.
No problem.
So, very easy, Zeta. We also could have went for a multitude of other cards. Playing Snippy and then attacking would have done it as well. Zeta was just a fun one to really close that game at 6. Now this Dragon one is actually quite enjoyable. I wasn't expecting to beat this Dragon player, honestly. It was going to be very, very close. Lucky for me, they made a very interesting play, and that is what you'll see in this video. So we get our Cursed General, our Assassin, and our Opener again. Of course, it means we don't need Lux and stuff to really draw them, but definitely they help have it for the consistency, because if you do brick and you don't end up with Cursed General and Assassin, you can definitely be in some trouble. So Quick Blader works well. Goblin Mage also being kind of a double-edged sword. It works well if you already draw your Assassins, because it means you can actually have a chance at drawing Lux if you're missing General, or you can have a chance at getting another Quick Blader just for some extra damage. So we're mainly just going to be pushing damage to the face at this point. We don't really have any reason not to. The more damage we can get to the face, the better. And we end up with Zeta. It's a pretty nice play. And another Quick Blader. So we're going to clear off the low drop, mainly just because the 2-2 isn't really a threat to us. Not yet, anyway. Dragon Foresight, still not really a problem either. And we're going to be able to go pretty comfortably with this Goblin Mage, maybe even throw an Evo and go face. Snippy Gardener, just for some extra damage on board and to present more of a threat. So sometimes you just need to do that with this deck. While you get up to turn 6, just kind of throw things to the board, even if they aren't giving you huge amounts of instant value. If you guys have any ideas on how to really improve this deck without kind of ruining the consistency of the Cursed General Assassin plays, then definitely leave them in the comments below. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, and maybe we could revisit this again. I definitely want to revisit it in a few expansions, maybe another 12 months if the game is still going well, which, I mean, it's been going strong for a little bit now. Steadily growing. So we're pretty consistent here with these 3s. Not bad at all. They do end up using the Phoenix Roost, which this is what makes this play so much fun. We actually have the Cursed General, Assassin, and Zeta. So just those alone is a massive amount of burst damage. Of course, I can't take full advantage of Geno there, but if I hadn't have played the Assassin, I actually could have just went into the Geno, Zeta, and the Cursed General. We still would have had enough with the Evo, regardless if they cleared the board, but I just played the Assassin for the combo. Why not? But a lot of fun nonetheless. Such an awesome, fun deck to play. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. This deck is definitely a lot of fun. As I mentioned, not competitive, not super consistent, but just a fun deck if you're looking for something just to chill back in. Also reasonably cheap compared to a lot of other decks. If you are interested in the original deck of this, which I showed off at the beginning of the video, you can go and check out the old video. You should be able to find that pretty easily, as it is the only other Cursed General deck on this entire channel. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe. You'll find this deck list in the description below, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.